Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. So, situation is we've got a Twitch extension. It is designed to be a panel that shows the user's schedule. I don't want to go to my own page right now. That could be weird on viewers. I'm necessarily doing things that are going to require actually firing up the local version of it, but Twitch is kind of nuking all of the anonymous access to the API. Yep, so all of their current endpoints and even the app access tokens. I think app access tokens used to be a thing you could get once and be okay. However, what I was reading in the actual docs is that you have to get it with the client secret, and you have to refresh it regularly, which is actually going to be the complicated part here. So we've got the Twitch API docs. So previously we've not needed a server. I think that like a lambda style thing, we'll get a few hits here and there, and it won't be too big a deal versus having to run an entire server and do all of that maintenance. The docs. This is unfortunately not quite what they want for. They consider this a mobile profile, even though it's just half a desktop screen. I guess it would actually be under authentication. Set of claims at your user. Yes, that's not relevant for us. App access tokens. Patient not okay. Client credentials. Well, even at 60 days, they still expire. They both end up bearer tokens. But I think it must be this one, because it's not client, not OIDC, it's not implicit. Oh, maybe... Is that not OAuth if we're getting an app token? Okay, so what did I just read there? App access token. Both bear sending user access and app access tokens. Client credentials flow. You need app access token. Okay. Get an app access token by making this request. I see a redirect URL. Oh, this is a post. Oh, I must have clicked the wrong thing. Oh, right. This is called client credentials flow. They're thinking API client, not a client side or a user. So that's a post, and that will come back as JSON instead of the whole redirect thing. And then that's the end of that page. So we have to do that to even make the other request. And we have to be able to, on any given request, handle a unauthenticated response and then go refresh our token. Oh, you don't even get a refresh token. Refresh tokens must be for user access tokens. Anyway, we actually need an environment we can do this stuff in, and for some reason I'm not finding the documentation I was reading like 3 days ago. So I guess we go back to where we were looking before. On the console, I mean, we kind of did that. Oh, no. Amazon has redone their documentation over the weekend. I mean, or I've got it in a different format. Well, okay. I remember seeing this before. This still feels like a different formatting, though, and I don't remember this stuff. Well, hopefully the kind of documentation I was looking at is still there. Oh, well, that reset my split. Wonderful. Okay, so it's got 10 and 12. 12 is pretty recent. Probably the role I had before is fine. I don't really need to do anything. Now we're not doing anything super particular to AWS here. We'll just have to kind of simulate the trigger functions. Now we could go in there, make a little dummy function in the console, and just kind of copy that out and start dumbing it up. Now I guess I could just start with a regular old Node app and start working out this stuff. And then when we sort of mash that up with a handler, I guess we kind of need some basic limits. I'm not going to be able to do this as a server per se. We're just going to have to emulate the kind of event that we get. And maybe I even want to hook it up to a request endpoint. I think the Go one I did didn't really care about the details. It was always just a single request. So we've got a struct response, status code headers body, an error response, lambda.start lambda handler, those are the return types. So I was actually not caring about my my inputs on this handler. All right, well, that doesn't help us. Fonts are an error. I'm going to be more comfortable with the synchronous style. Just because if I ever do want to hook this into Elm stuff, I don't know how it's going to play with async things. So index.js, we want to have an exports.handler. And this is sort of the kind of thing we need to do. All right, so the source was the front end. We've got the public. Got all our other support stuff. This could be an entirely different project, but it's basically part of this. We're gonna need some support stuff. So you want an exports.handler. Going to be an event context callback. And probably I'm going to want to use that to just kind of call down to some other functions that I can also use in my index. So the example here is not using event, it's not using context. We are doing callback. And that's only returning status code. Well, that's what this example function does. If we want to respond as a network response, then we're going to have to do something there. All right, so I know I've done some other node stuff. So do I still have? I may have taken donation config off. Oh, I guess I was experimenting with lambda here too. Or thinking about it. Oh, so that's a static server. We want info server. Oh yeah. I don't know if that needs a semicolon. It's kind of a weird magic thing. Yeah, this is all app.use, so maybe that's just doing its own little thing. Or maybe there isn't like a main, it's just the script that runs. Which I should probably still make a function and we can just do a one-line comment on it. http.listen, that was kind of the main here. I could maybe even use an HTTP listen style thing. Maybe that would have to be a separate file. So if we do, we'll just have something we call main. Uh, yeah, I have to be careful about how I package this if I end up putting a end file in here. We've got the handler. Well, the handler like takes and decodes this stuff. We'll have to figure out what we need out of there. We're going to have well, we're going to have like what? We're going to need a thing that fetches a token. We have to figure out what that needs. We're going to eventually have a thing that fetch videos given a user ID. I guess fetch token's going to need the secret. That needs a client ID and secret. Although those will pretty much be configuration variables. We've kind of got const going on. And that stuff's all going to have to get set up. I have a proper name for this. Client secret. Which won't really matter until we get there. Well, I guess this is kind of the first thing we're doing. So right now, we just want to do this. I guess the only thing we need back is a token, which we don't actually want to print. Scopes. I don't think we need any special scopes for this. Okay, so this was actually sort of in the example here. https.post. I need to know how to do a body. Oh, also, this example doesn't do data. We were looking at plain node HTTP package is kind of a pain in the butt to use. We were actually doing, well, this is actually, I mean, I had functions before. I guess this could kind of be like static values. Client ID, client secret, grant type. We could indeed break this. Hmm. A little bit of extra thing, but I think it'll work better. And grant type. And we were in the middle of this. So this is going to be token URL. That should take care of all the parameters on that end. We get a response. Am I reading the documentation wrong here? That's 13. Oh, also, there's no post. That's the simplified version. I think these all end up in the same place. Yeah. So it's URL or options, which can include from HTTP request. HTTP.global agent. So is that HTTP global agent or HTTPS global agent? Oh. For all HTTP's client requests. So it is an HTTPS agent, but we have to once again refer to this documentation. We're used for HTTP clients. Do pending requests. Does this also handle the agent name? Create a new agent for this one request. Keep alive, max sockets, free sockets, timeout. So no, this is not the agent name. So how do you specify that? Of course, that's going to cloud all the docs. User agent. That might be just a header. Yeah, okay. Uh, look at HTTP. Agent auth, family, headers, host name. Oh, so we have to break it up if it's path. If we specify options, well, actually, no, isn't there URL options? URL options. Default values. Headers. Well, object isn't going to be terribly elucidating here. Oh, and this is a request. This is where we have to specify all that stuff. That's the options, and then that's the function. It's user agent. HTTP request, option res on data. Anything else we really need to specify here? Basic authentication. This does not need to specify the bearer. Oh, method. Oh, and that gives us a rec. Rec, huh? Or const, huh? And then rec dot. Oh, that's why they were doing get dot on error. That's for body data. I don't know that we have body data. I guess error is actually fine for this. We have a status. I don't know if headers matter for this. I don't know what their encoding is. It might specify that in the response as part of the headers. And this is the annoying part. Oh, this is just printing body, so it's not even a full handler. Where did I see an example that actually dealt with this properly? Maybe it was actually in Lambda. But those tend to be pretty hello world. That's some proxy stuff. In response data to free up memory. There's a get. Raw data on end. Okay, so this is closer to what we're looking for here. Mm. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have access token. So we're going to want to grab this eventually. Parsed data.access token. And then so we don't print it out. Oh, that's right. We're going to have this. Is this a right? You actually need to be callback. Well, the app is going to need a current access token. I should probably be managing that elsewhere. I guess if that's the current, this is. Oh, actually, this was end. All right. So we make the call. Data is an update and has both branches with the callback. On error has a callback. Now this will fail. We go run it because we don't have our keys. Done with you. Oh, and by the way, well, if I don't dispense into any special libraries, I might be able to just run this. Ah, right. It's like process stat. Process.end. Now that might require importing process. Object.request. Okay. What's this listener thing? Events.js. Client request.once. Key client. So it doesn't like it at 20 in mine. https.request. Oh, I wonder. Hmm. One of the ones we're not using. Did this interface change? And this is HTTP. Oh, okay. So the current version does support both forms. It's just not as convenient. I suppose I could do NVM and... We have NVM? No. I was messing with this at one point? Yeah. That's full options. Though the port and stuff have default. We just have to separate hostname and path, really. There could have been some syntactical things that they were slipping into as well. So we would not support the URL form. We would have this might be a timeout situation. Or maybe I have to deliberately exit? So is there no timeout if I don't specify it? No information on default value. Milliseconds. I mean, if it doesn't come back in one second, we got a problem. Do I have to do something to send the request? Rook.end. Little details. Parse data. Parsed. Okay, so we got connection type, connection length, connection close, access control, allow origin, log ID. Nothing about encoding. That was the headers. Your project length undefined. And this is supposed to be null anyway. So this is all wrong. Invalid client access. Right, I was setting access token, so we actually got a response, but it's an error response. Right, yes, actual status code, but it gave me a body. Res dot status code. Okay, so we still need to do this stuff. Oh. Thanks. I'm seeing if it will actually... It's actually savable now. It's going to be significantly more trouble to make it work. We need the data. Was it successful? We need to remove the token. Grab the token, remove the token. Else, we need to have the parsed data is going to be the error message. I might actually want some of the rest of the response for like lifetime management, but start. Okay, so we just return that we have invalid stuff. Now we got the delicate setup part. So right now it is set up so it uses the videos. So however back if you go to Twitch, user videos, as far back as those go is as far back as it's going to go. So that will improve with Turbo Prime partner, whatever they give you that increases video storage. I am explicitly filtering down to archives because I want stream times. I haven't looked into if highlights get recorded as time streamed, as time highlighted. They also stick around longer, and that can cause some issues. Let's see if we've got any. Like I'm using the same thing here in my hostable panel. Like this is relatively good spread. Sometimes you get one that's like all crunched down at the bottom because there was like one little video that stuck around. I'm not seeing any good ones right now. This might kind of be it. I had it for a while. I actually had like just a video that was kind of stuck and not getting cleaned up. So like all of the rest of the history was getting crunched down at the bottom. Okay, so that would be where it's showing up on yours. Oh, I thought I paused that. Yeah, so that looks like that looks pretty reasonable by itself. We've got a spread of dates on Sunday. And these are, all over for the other streams. Yeah, so the way this overlaps is a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, well, I mean, that was it. That is intentional that it's being rendered client side and using the client's time. So that I can see this and see when I need to show up to watch. 0. Oh, right. That's dead of the night for me, but depending on the viewers, well, I mean, that's still going to be viewer time. I guess some people can have, just have those schedules where they're watching stuff in their wee hours because of their work or just sleep patterns or whatever. Uh, to fix that, I would have to look at the data and try to figure out if like this side or this side is better. Right. Okay, we're still here. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, you viewing me. Yep. That would if you're up at that time. So yeah, I built it for me and the people I watched, and the people I watched were at not the wee hours of the morning. So that's I actually kind of need to once I get the thing so it actually runs in a month. And the extensions have a grace period, but it'd still be nice to have it done like till before things get switched over for the public API testing. Um, I need to go through all the feedback comments and stuff and see if there's any stuff to do there. Uh, so that's general. That was just referring that. Let's look up at the other version. We did user agent. We got that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not super consistent myself, so that's pretty much what I wanted to get out of it. All right, what I needed to do, yeah, was go look up what the heck did we the application stuff in Twitch. So I think this is not going to be under the actual. Yeah, so I made one for backend service. When I was testing for the API gateway stuff. I should probably have a separate one for local testing just in case. User side. Okay. Control from videos. Um, Backend local testing. All right, so now I need. I'm assuming I'm just going to be using Foreman for this. Edit lambda. Well, we can set up our sample. Edit lambda example.end, and we're going to have which. Okay, cool. I guess it's becoming somewhat popular all of a sudden. Or maybe like it got randomly featured on the front page. I don't know. Which client ID, which is going to be. I see this is actually sort of easier to do from actual things. I might want to set up a better example then. Once I kind of see what size these things are. So when we write this as .end for now, and what I want to see temporarily is that we are successfully reading these. So we will then, with all of that dummy data, print that out. And we actually don't need to. We don't actually need to poke twits with that data. No, I see that's undefined. All right, because I'm not running it in Foreman. Oh, I can't run on Windows, can I? Yep, fork not implemented. So that means I need to have a little proc file with something like that. And start. Nope, still undefined, undefined. In lambda. Oh, I wrote the .end to the wrong place. Okay, so that actually successfully passes the values through. No. Edit lambda dot end. Oh, and before I forget, let's take that printout. All right, so we're going to take that, we're going to go to example, we're going to do that, and we're going to do replace with x, X, those look about the same. I'm going to copy something else to clear out the paste buffer. Yeah, make sure you delete that buffer. All right, so in theory, go back to index. We actually make a request. That should be blanking out the token. Access token expires in token type bearer. And it actually was a token because it's length 30. All right, I might actually want that expires in. Because I could do preemptive updates. I guess some request is going to take longer. Now, what I don't know, and unfortunately I won't know for 60 days, and it may not even matter on Lambda. Uh, can I, well, if I can get a token, there's no refresh token here. So preemptive refresh doesn't really matter unless I say, okay, well, we did a request. We're about to expire, so we're going to go ahead and refresh asynchronously after another request. So I guess I could keep around the entire thing. Until I actually get to a point where I can use them and keep on blanking that out. I actually want to do this because I copied that from somewhere. That is going to be the end of our processing if it was an error. And I need a function that's going to do... That was fetch token. That is... Is it worth wrapping up HTTP request? I might actually want a longer timeout normally. But it seemed to be infinite before. Headers. There's not an easy way to get this. I guess you could do some kind of object extension. And then when I go down to this stuff, shoot, what was it? I know there was a helper to create objects. Did all the extension stuff for you. This isn't the reference. Object dot. I want create. And actually, I know, actually, this one can use it fine. It is the other request that's going to have to add the all the authentication stuff. Oh, you actually, well, no, the client ID is here, so it shouldn't need that in the header. I guess this is the part I might want to kind of wrap up. We've only got 2 requests, right? So it's not. But I wanted a high-level thing. You're going to use it. This is going to be like. This is going to be handling a request for a particular user ID. Extension only needs the videos. Well, I need to get something working, and then I need to see what a event might look like. If one handler can handle multiple different kinds of things. So this is going to be like a. So you're going to have that. Gonna turn to kind of this. I guess we can do it. We can get it working where it always fetches. We can go to the public one, which is actually still working because I haven't cut it off yet. That will eventually come from the. Oh, I forget if I handle this as a string or a number. Probably I just treat it as a string. And then if it's not an error, oh, you're going into a thing that should, oh, you should have a callback too. And really, the error print might be better handled up there. Now we're kind of back to this error handler is actually down here. We're just changing which function we're calling. And then that will be the response data, which we. Yeah, so there's the part that requests it, and there's the part that actually has to respond to the request. Huh. Maybe this should handle that entire request. Have a callback at all then. Huh. So you're not going to be a. You've got another error. I think I actually need that data then. Uh, if we think, I guess I'm still kind of thinking in the Elm programming model, in which case I'd need to be dealing with I think there's going to be too much low-level HTTP stuff here to actually boot up Elm. We'd have a whole lot of back and forth with ports for what we're doing. But that would actually say that that should be a parameter to this function. And that was only access token for this. So you're going to get a video response, hopefully. Yep, that should be videos, probably. So that is my top level callback. Now, really, I want this to, or eventually going to want this to write some sort of response. We'd have to see how Lambda handles that. In the web response case. Okay, so this is this is gonna be like API host name. This is all our authentication stuff. Actually, I could probably just be looking at my other app for this. It says exactly what I was looking for. Schedule from videos. Fetch videos. Okay. So we're going to api.twitch.tv, which apparently hosts everything now. Yep, no, that was the user ID. Oh, and this is not a cross-app paste. And I hit caps lock. So we're doing user ID, and then this is the variable part. Suppose if I'm actually doing double quotes would be better in terms of making this a little bit closer to Elm, if we ever decide to go that way. Because JavaScript has a new syntax for inline things, and that's like backticks. All right, so this is API hostname, videos path. This is going to be a get. This is where we need to deal with extension. I might actually want to just make a auth headers. So you need the auth. Client ID we're assuming is context. And this is actually, no, that was in the Twitch API package. From Twitch API, Helix. Client ID. Okay, so you actually took token for parity. Authorization. I guess I could actually include client ID in that. That's statically known. But then that'll be reusable for any API calls we make. All right, so this is videos response code. We have to collect our chunk. They do return errors inline, so this is fine. Oh, I'm not actually using that, am I? No, that's just kind of how we're using it. So the total result, so that's fetch videos. The total result of this right now, this could go straight back to the parent callback. I think we actually want to do some processing and formatting of this result, though. Yep. Okay. Typo. Description must be an object. Oh, right. I was passing all that through. So auth headers. Was like an entire token. No. Auth, fetch videos, token.access token. So I'm confused about token. Fire time is the token, the string. We still got access to it here. The fetch videos. I was using auth for just the string in Elm. So auth headers. But I haven't actually found anything to fix yet. Maybe object.create doesn't do what I think it does. This might be the fancy pants object add syntax. Properties object. Yeah, so that's like fancy stuff. Like there's prescribed things that it does. So if I want to do this, it's unfortunately a two-step process. Does object, did I see an object sign? Yeah, so we can still kind of use this shorthand, but we have to assign headers, all this stuff. And this is a mutable change. Then we return headers. And you're leaking right now. Okay, that's, I should probably do another limit, a smaller limit on this for testing. So that's fine. Now, for our purposes, we need almost none of this. I'm also realizing I should have been taking several steps in between here. So let's leave you up as an execution window. We've got notes. It's like we need lambda, but we don't need all of it. First off, oh, I guess I could actually do Foreman from the bay. Kind of run on Heroku. That would get files out of that directory. Then again, I might need environment specific to Lambda and some other environment later. That should take care of that. We got proc file, we've got example end, we've got index. Well, we don't know if the tokens actually work because they're not checking that yet. Now, if it's actually, this is actually a proof of concept for lambda, we'll have to see. I'm going to take a short break, though. I'll be back in a moment. Um, Lovely dupes.
I am Alam Moon. I like it. Need a song for this life. Inspire this little girl. Ooh, okay. Oh, the tour. I love when people do the freaking tour. She might be just like looking around, but you know,
or let you know, there was the kids. We do it for the kids. You know, if you ever watch this VOD clip somebody, I challenge you. Live singing contest, you versus me, the voice of radio. Or old timey radio. Wait. Or old timey radio. See, I can't hear myself when I do this. Or old timey radio. You see, it's cow.
You'll never take us alive. Unknown research. More research. More research. A lot of research over here. Good stuffs.
Okay, we're getting a lot of iron. That's good to see. We're finding a whole bunch in this outside area. Okay, we could get down here and use this. Anybody have any recommendations for the neural vacillator?
All right, welcome back. All right, so we have a checkpoint on that. I guess I could have had the user agent be a variable too. You could do like testing and production. Now, if this is good, I still have to figure out how to format things, but part of that's going to be the body. So what we've got is data. What would we do? We might have a decoder that only pulled out certain features. I could treat that as sort of like the response function. Or this would essentially be a result of error or data. So fetch videos, receive videos. So we still have the possibility of errors to deal with. This is almost like the entire response, but you'd still want like status code information. And then we've got data array. Okay, we're already up here. Schedule from videos. No, actually, schedule graph is what we got. Event. We turned these into events, so let's just start and duration. Now, I might need to deal with some of my transformations on this. Like, was I picking created at or published at? I guess created at would want for archives. Oh, and I need to do the archive filter. Fetch videos comes back as a videos. The video type is archive. And in JavaScript, I still filter? Filter. Videos.data. Dot filter. Video.type equals archive. And dot map. Okay, start duration. Now I could pass these directly through and then duration of the duration is the strings. I've already got all the things I need to parse that. Now that's partly in the Twitch package, which this is not a direct Twitch response. But I'd actually have to rebuild that duration parser. I don't think I want to do that here. So probably just treating this more of an API pass-through at this time. In which case, it's not start duration, it is created at end duration, because that's what they represent. So we've got videos. Oh, these are events, so actually, videos is pretty spammy. And indeed, don't need all of that. See videos. I didn't call this yet. You need your own callback. That is that's where we're going. Apply the callback to it. Well, JavaScript usually does it as the last parameter. Yeah, that doesn't work. Unless this actually handles, and it has to return to something, which we don't have defined here. Which I guess is where Elm comes in. Like you end up returning something, although this has to return it through the callbacks. Means there has to be a callback there. Which would mean that, like, all the way down the chain, you'd have to be kind of passing through your ultimate callback somewhere. Is that really all we're doing here? Patching in the callback? Kinda. And eventually you want to be able to set this up for multiple calls. Don't actually have to fetch the token. Get multiple. If error. Oh. Right. We were able to patch this down to this short form. Okay. I almost want to make this a like for testing, we're only going to want to do this. For the live stuff, we might want to do more. Oh, we returns this to an array. I may, in fact, want to be formatting this. Well, that's how I would format my reply. Okay. Now, in order to format a reply, I need to know what does a web request look like in Lambda. That's just returning a status code. Callback waits for empty event loop to false. S3 list buckets, which itself takes a callback, so that's... Maybe there's something in there's a sample in the console that returns a gateway response. This is SAM template. Yeah, that's unrelated. Deployment package, so that's like the zip file. Function with no dependencies. Okay, we just zip the one file. Easy. Context object. Execution times out. Oh, env might be different? Run process.env. Still there. Raises an error. JSON response of the error. Okay. Yeah, this is Lambda specific. I need the interface with gateway. Hey, Anthony, how's it going? Oh, the other thing I need... Other little thing I need to do is to make this actually get the token only if needed. Uh, We have the awkward thing where we have fetch token. They kind of like being its own little thing. Everybody needs a wraparound fetch token. It's like ensure token or something that has a similar external API, but handles the statefulness of it. The token itself, it's the callback. You want to have the same kind of interface. And then you're going to do a little bit like this. We handle kind of this step. But I also have to deal with authenticated errors. That's gonna be the tricky part and the hard part to test. I could probably also tell if it's definitely expired. Then so if you're dealing with any timeout stuff, you'll probably just do access. Variable. It's like more stuff to manage, but probably I should make these the same for parity. Now we come down to do this. Fetch videos. I want you to just be ensure token. I guess we still have to check errors. We've got an error print there. And to catch that, we should just assume we've got it. That is actually going to be, we're going to call this like auth now. It's just the token. And if we make 2 calls, we should only see token response once. No, we saw it twice. Because they're asynchronous. We actually have to say, if we do this once, then on success, do it again. Okay, so then we only do it once. So we have the possibility to keep that around. We'll end up with 2 different tokens if it's actually asynchronous. I don't actually expect a lambda to sit around for 60 days. I do have to handle... I think it's 410 is unauthenticated. Oh, there's a token validate, but I don't want to do that every time. This is a little bit hairier. We have to look at the error. What is our error if it's an... Have the status code. They would have to make this call without auth. We're probably already dumping the error message. Right. It's not actually required yet. I can fake out the client ID. That might break it. Console dot well. Oh, I overchanged an error somewhere. More syntax errors. Wonderful. Oh, no, okay. So, and then somewhere we handled 157. Callback. Oh, you're right. We copied this from somewhere. Yeah, you don't have any place to go. But we did, in fact, get a 410. And the error includes the status. So if the error from this comes back as that, then we want to definitely fetch token. That is numeric. I don't want to get this into a loop, so I don't want to just call itself. But this ends up redoing a lot of stuff. And it's basically like repeat this entire thing in miniature. We do need an error escape here, though. No, it received videos was handling that. All right, so you're gone. That takes care of that syntax error. I kind of wish there was a better way to represent the happy path here. Like we have something that calls ensure token, it handles it, then calls some function on success, but we have to kind of get inside the handler. Check its response. Oh, and we've got double air. And then fetch token as an error. This is where you kind of do need just separate functions. So we want ensure token. We want to have the thing that it does if it's successful. we still have to have the ultimate callback to where they return the response to. So it's like it needs 2 functions. Has its immediate callback. But this like kind of like retry once behavior is kind of what we want to abstract. Oh, so as long as this thing errors out with error for, well, we don't know where it errored out though. We don't know if it errored out at unauthenticated on the first pass. Well, anyway, this has to short circuit. If there was an error, that's the short circuit. It doesn't make any sense to do this. All right, I had my error handling in here for receive. So insert token either fail immediately or successfully, we have at least our cached token. But then fetch videos, if that then has an error, we need to be hooking back into that process. It's almost like this function needs a new callback. And then ensure token can say, well, was our underlying response. If so, we can retry once. But our success behavior is blah, blah. So I want something on the level of ensure, kind of. That does ensure token. Well, it's kind of at this level. We do this, we do fetch. Then we do blah, 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 blah. And if that comes back 410, well, it's success in either of these cases. We have a function here. Says, okay, we have our initial token. If it's an error, we can call back error immediately. So this is like the callback needs a callback. Function first pass. If we got error and error dot status is unauthenticated, then we do this process. This is the callback that gets a callback. I guess not with error. This would be like if it has a callback, call it with the result. We have to have like the ultimate callback. uh, uh, we did some work here, didn't we? See where that's at. Okay, so we did that. We were testing the authentication error. At one level, which you kind of need to test some of that. Ensure token. Ensure token's fine. Fix that. Request videos. Need to read very carefully. And we were deliberately passing a bad value here. Okay. Client ID. Nope. Fetch videos. Lost the comma. Nope. That was random. And that was still all of them. All right. That was check for token once. This token. I can just brute force request videos, request token. I'd like to have some abstraction of that in case. This thread wouldn't be that much better now. Maybe state function, so it might not be as tempting to try and have this function you around the term done. But can here's the thing we want to do. It gets unauthed once. Fetch token. Callback. Our request is caller when it's kind of like we need callback to the callback. Yeah, so think of it more as a done handler. It's going to function a lot like a ensure token as a done. But that means ensure token needs the other callback to finalize. Well, if ensure token fails, we're done. If any of this fails, then we need to get new token and try again. If we've got a token, if we've fetched a token, well, you know what? If we've fetched a token and it's then we're just. If we've fetched a token, then we're just done. If it's an error, then we're just done. If we've done this, no, because this means we still have to do it, but we don't get to retry. So if fetch token fails, we're done. And we were passing a done method to this. So you try blah 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 blah. Final. You try, and if you fail, then we're done. If it was a cached token, then if error and error dot status equals 410, then we basically do this. Which makes me want to say, yes, we have to use a local function to capture the callbacks. Then we try again. If it is else, it is just final callback. This is a try callback, but with the final callback, so we never come back. This is try callback with the loop around. Now, right now, my try always fails. So I guess the way we... Right, we have to fake out the client ID to make it fail. We do want to verify that it only does it once. And then you've got the done. So we don't need a ton of data. We need the request. Well, we also need it to succeed. Okay, one token. It's the only way we have to make it fail right now. Can I hit save? Oh, but I did get a token. Which it's either or right now. Maybe blank client ID got passed over? Yeah, okay, I can't make it fail. So that's going to be cross our fingers and hope. This isn't really special handling. Oh, this is a problem. Oh, that might in fact no, because it's printing data, so it got past data. Yeah, when they actually turn on requiring things, it might just break. So maybe I actually need to wait until after the public API expiration so I can verify that behavior before publishing it live. Right now it works, and if I switch over to this thing, it's going to not work if that breaks. Oh boy. But we have no way to verify that right now. I guess I could try passing I could try to munging my token somehow so that it's not a valid token. I might have to also we do this in the first pass. We could make you be an access token, blah, 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 blah. But it's kind of ignoring those right now. It did skip it. Maybe now if we munge the client ID? Okay, we got 2 unauthorized, but that means we did retry. Oh no, it's 401, not 410. I was misremembering. But we also retried. Oh, we got 2 unauthorized. Then we got a token and a valid video response because we had one thing. Now, why did we get 2 unauthorized? Oh, probably 2 different levels of printing out the error. Okay. So that was an oopsie. Make sure this is back to normal. Yeah, it's very normal. Now we have to figure out API path. User dev proxy. Path and HTTP method combination to a Lambda function. Pass the body of the HTTP request as is, or encapsulate the request body in a document. With all the request information is resource methods. And I mean, I know what secrecy means in general. invocation sync. This is a Lambda specific thing. Waits for the response. Right. So you could do a thing that would you just fire it off and then it posts a message later or something. For a request response, it has to be synchronous. JSON representation HTTP request. Okay, so well, resource path, method, request context. Okay, so that's the full path. Headers. Oh, interesting. String parameters. Oh yeah, we're gonna need some of this stuff. So this we might be able to use for testing. Body null is base64 encoded. Waits for a response. Proxy integrate. Oh, this is actually similar. This is actually sort of similar to what we did for Go. And from what we did in Go, it looks like it doesn't care about missing fields. So status code, probably going to want some headers for like at least content type. Then we're going to want to batch that up in case we want to include multiple things for our other whatchamajig. Node.js. Doing AWS stuff. Received event, operation, event.operation. This is not as documented? What's the operation? API gateway. I guess I'm going to have to put it in there and see what it looks like, because that's not matching the documentation. It's like generic function code, not API gateway function. We're just going to have to get a sample up there and print it out and see what... But we can see what a response is supposed to look like, which is what we want this thing to be doing. Okay, so you receive videos. Your data should just be this. Now you were calling done. So our actual response here. Content type is indeed application JSON. Base64 encoded would be false. Body JSON.stringify if we want to include any other stuff in there, we can. And then that is what right now we're printing events. And we're printing error in lots and lots of places. I need to work on that. Maybe I should prioritize that. JSON is not, indeed it's not. Wait, what? That's not videos. See? We're printing the right thing. And I guess I'll notice if I leave wrong. And this is where we could possibly point multiple things at it. Path parameter, stage variable. Oh, that's right. I could potentially use stage variables. One way I could use different keys. Does this mean it can anytime give us base64 encoded response? All right, well, it's going to be a lot of work in the on console. A sample set up to show us what a request looks like. Actually got a parameter we need to for a request that actually has a parameter. Then we have to kind of rejigger our test setup to thing like that, and then fake call the handler. All the fields we care about. But it appears to do the right thing. Get our file set up to. And maybe I could move the test setup out to a separate file that like calls that file. Right now it's just like, executing request. Startup, which all right, so we're done with that. We're done with all of this, but it's not going to be as big a deal. And yeah, I think it's still just chilly enough. I don't want to bike ride. We should do some Step Mania. All right. Oh, and it's been a few days. I wonder if these still. Well, no, actually, I ran it last night. The API changes. I'm always wondering if these things still work. Thanks to the subs. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. I am actually going to be back in a moment. I'm just done with programming for now. I'm going to come back and do some Step Mania. That's very, very different. This is when I'm normally on. So we're usually kind of switching over to Step Mania sometime around now. And that's ish. And then I will be back in